Recording in progress.
Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Erev Shabbos, Parsha of Ki Teitzei. Parsha that's packed with halachos, packed with incredible mitzvos. Parsha that's leading us closer and closer to Rosh Hashanah. Want us to look, of course, in the Parsha and see any kind of connection that you can find, because any mitzvah that's here, anything that's in this Parsha is something that can inspire me and uplift me, direct me towards Rosh Hashanah. So there is, of course, one of the many famous things in the Parsha is the mitzvah of Ben Sorah Mora. Mitzvah Ben Sorah Mora is a mitzvah the Torah tells us that when you have a rebellious child and that the parents can't control the child, it's in a very small window of opportunity, about 3 months in a child's life, that we take the child to the bezin. We say to the bezin that B'nai Nuzeh, this child is a Ben Sorah Mora, is a rebellious, recalcitrant child, and we can't deal with him. And he's not listening to the voice of his father and his mother. So the Torah says that Bezin can take him out to the court, take him out to the gates of the city, and can kill him. That's the mitzvah in the Torah. It's not being said as some kind of mere just concept. It's actually one of the mitzvahs of the Torah. It's presented to us as an obligation. And the whole mitzvah itself is problematic because, first of all, we know that the commentaries tell us that what's the reason that he's being killed? Because nidna shum sofo. We look to the end of his game, and we look to where he's going, and we say that this kid is on a path that's a path of self-destruction. Take him out of the world now. While he really hasn't done anything wrong per se, he hasn't committed any real crime, and therefore take him out of the world now rather than wait until later and then to suffer the consequences of not having dealt with him now. Well, that's a problem because God doesn't look at us nidna shum sofo. He doesn't look at us where we're going to end up. He looks at us b'asher hu sham, like we're taught by Yishmael. That God looks at us where we are right now, and where we're holding right now, that's what's critical. So the whole basis of the mitzvah seems to run counter to the very concept of what the Torah teaches us of how God looks at us and he perceives us. Also, we know that the Talmud tells us that based on the words of the Parsha, we understand that the parents have to look alike, they have to sound alike. And that's how you created Ben Sorah Mora. Well, you've created something then that's absolutely impossible to fulfill. It's impossible to do this mitzvah because there is no way that the parents look alike and that the parents' voices are exactly the same. You've set conditions under which you fulfill this mitzvah. You've set impossible conditions, and therefore, if the conditions are impossible, the mitzvah can't be done. Then what's it doing here in the Torah? And in fact, our rabbis tell us that lo haya v'lo yiyeh, that it never was and never will be. This mitzvah will never be. Well, if it's never going to be, then what do I need it for? If it never happened, never going to happen, then what do I need it in the Torah? And our rabbis tell us a very important concept. Our rabbis tell us because that drosh v'kabel schar, that if you expound this, if you understand this, if you look at this, then kabel schar, you'll receive tremendous reward. And that's why it's here in the Torah. It's here in the Torah not to fulfill, it's here in the Torah to teach us a concept, to teach us a direction. Well, what's it going to teach me? What's the drosh v'kabel schar? Expound this and you'll receive great, incredible rewards. So I think B'Pashtos, in the most simple way, what it's teaching me is about raising children. That it's telling me that if the parents are speaking from the same voice, the parents look the same child's getting exactly the same message from the mother and the father. There's no playing two sides against the middle. Child knows that it's always going to be the same. Whether you go to dad, whether you go to mom, you're going to get the same picture. And the child's being raised in an atmosphere where everything together is speaking the same message. There's nothing inconsistent about the way he's being raised. There's nothing inconsistent about the values of the parents. There's nothing inconsistent about where the parents go on vacation, what the parents do, the kind of things the parents value. Everything is straight and everything is connected. A child then turns to his parents and says, I reject this. That's a Ben Sorah Mora. That's a rebellious and recalcitrant child. But if there's a little bit of discord in the house, there's a little bit of disconnection, there's a message being sent with the words, but with the actions, it's not exactly the same. There's a little inconsistency. There are certain things that are allowed in the house that are not quite consistent with the message that the parents are trying to give to the child. The mother and the father don't speak from the same voice. And a child turns to those parents and rebels against those parents. That's not called a ben sora mora. That's a regular child. That's a regular messed up child. And that we have to look at that and say, what did I do? What am I doing to send this inconsistent message? I've got to fix that up. I've got to make it more consistent. I've got to make it more integrated. Droish v'kabel schar, we're taught. Look at this section. Learn about what makes a ben sora mora. Don't call your child that's having problems and issues. Don't call your child that's rebelling a ben sora mora so fast. First, look at what's going on in the atmosphere in the house. Look at what's going on, what message they're being sent. And then when you can figure that out, if you know for sure that your message is a consistent message, then you have a problem. You have a ben sora mora. But if not, it's not your child that needs to be fixed. It's the atmosphere in the home that needs to be fixed. And I think that's the simple message of this section. Drosh v'kabel schar. You don't have to fulfill this mitzvah. This mitzvah is not here to fulfill. This mitzvah is get you to think so that you can receive tremendous reward in raising your children. But I think maybe there's another message here. And the reason why the Torah sets up a mitzvah that is absolutely impossible, based on a principle that runs almost counter to the Torah, based on a principle of nidon mishum sofo, that we look at him because of where he's going. And then our rabbis tell us, lo hoya v'lo yiyeh, it never was, it never will be, because that's impossible. No one can ever be stuck. And the Torah puts together a mitzvah that is based on a principle that this kid is stuck, and then it puts a strike through. And it says, this mitzvah, not true. Because no one is ever stuck. No one is ever stuck in their place. Every person can grow. Every person can change. Every person can improve. Every person can take their incredible potential and turn it into something magnificent. It's important to know that nobody is ever stuck in their place. Drosh v'kabel schar. Learn this section over. Hafoich ba v'hafoich ba tekula ba. Turn it over and turn it over again, because everything you need to know is there. You're not stuck. You're not locked in to the place that you're in now. You can grow, you can change, you can do it differently. And if you learn that message, kabel schar, it'll only yield tremendous benefit to your life. And maybe that's the reason that we read this before Rosh Hashanah, is to hear that message. You can go home again. There are so many things that drag us down and so many things that lock us, so many decisions that we make that feel like this, oh my gosh, this is who I am, this is where I am, I can't change this. Comes along the ben sora mora and teaches me, drosh, expound this, think about this, explain it, talk about it. V'kabel schar. And your life will be so enriched and so uplifted, because once you break those chains, you'll be able to soar towards the heavens. Everyone should have a beautiful, wonderful, awesome, amazing Shabbos. A Shabbos of such intense kedusha because of the amazing amount of mitzvos in this week's Parsha. There is so much Torah potential in this Shabbos. And like the ben sora mora, what the Torah is teaching me from that Parsha, there is such an incredible opportunity this Shabbos to break out of the chains that hold us down. Have a wonderful Shabbos.